Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So there are things that I learned while I'm in study in USA for my grad studies over the 3 years. I like to share with you. So I'm a lazy person. I'm really hate to study because I just don't know how to do that. First of all, I don't know how to do that, and the second thing is I will get distracted really quickly. So I just could not focus for a long time, so that's kind of difficult for me. So then how I overcome that challenge, I'll tell you how. In the college, you have to study a lot, you have to face for exams and all. So these tips probably help for you if you're lazy as me and still you want to succeed in your grad school. Probably this may helpful for you. So start with the number one, me, and still you want to succeed in your grad school. Probably this may helpful for you. So start with the number one. So this is really important because sometimes when you're really stressed out, you cannot do anything. At the beginning of grad school, you will feel like it's really tough and it's not for you and you cannot absorb anything. It's really overwhelming and you feel like it's not the right place for you, because I felt like that way when I started in grad school. So I thought this is something you really must need to know, that it will become easier once you use this, because it's kind of new experience and it's complete transition from undergrad into the grad school, because it's like you have to study by yourself and there is so much information you have to learn, and there are really different subjects, and they are like completely different from what you learn from sometimes in undergrad. So it's maybe really complicated compared to what you learned in undergrad. So number one is, okay, you make sure that it gets easier with time, so don't stress out. So the number two, the organizing thing. So I have to tell you, so organizing is really important. I don't know who told you to not to waste your time on organizing, because it's actually investment. So take time like 5-10 minutes per day and organize what you have to do. For example, you don't really even need a book or pen or anything like that. Just in mind, you can actually organize things. Oh, here are the things I have to do tomorrow. Like, here are the things meetings I have to go tomorrow. Like, you prepare yourself before it actually happens. So that's mean you are already settle your mind, then you can actually attend a meeting or gathering or like study program or anything. Your mind is already set for that. So that's a number two. And number three is come prepared. So I don't know about you guys, but if you have a time, it's like not really going through all the study material you have, but if you have a little time like 5-10 minutes per day and just look through, like skim through the presentation, if you have a presentation or anything like that, what you have to study tomorrow, and just go through it, like, and you have better idea what you are going to learn tomorrow, and you feel like you actually know things. Like, you actually, when you heard the words, when lecturer or professor actually explaining things, you feel like, oh, I really know that, because your mind, you feel like you actually heard these words before, because yesterday you actually go through this, like skim through the presentation. You have idea, like you feel like you kind of know things, know what he's going to tell. Like, it's easy to interconnect what the overall picture of what you're going to learn. So number four is allocate time. So as I told you, I'm a lazy person. I'm not a person like study for the whole week or like study in 3-4 hours per day. No, I'm not like that. So if I'm studying for at least, if I can, like 2 hours or 1 hour per day, it's depend on how much work I have to do. I'm not regularly studying the same time amount. That's not me, because I will do it because it's have to do it. So if that's the case, so allocate time, like in your mind, just remember, like always think, okay, I have to do this stuff, study for this exam during this time. Like, always prepare your mind and then like repeatedly think about that. Then you feel like you have to do it. If you forget to do it, you feel like you something missing missing something, like you just have to do it, like you always feel like that. So I always prepare my mind if I have to study for something, not for every week, not for every month, every day, but if I have to work for like exam or quiz or like any other task, I just prepare my mind earlier for that. So other one is also important, prepare your surroundings. What I mean is, if you're actually going to, for example, if you have to submit a homework next Monday and you're going to do it this Sunday, and what you have to do is tell your friends and tell your family, prepare them also for that, like tell them earlier, so I have to do this stuff during this time, and like it's just telling them that like do not disturb them, do not disturb you, and at the same time like they will prepare for that too. They will not like, you know, ask you to go out or like do anything else, like they will help you to finish your work. So it's really important to prepare your surroundings for what you have to do. That's not really always about your homework or study, about anything else also, like train your surrounding like little earlier, so they will know what you're going to do and they will really help you. You will probably astonish, they will help you. If they know something about that, they will let you know. And again, if they already arrange something, and they will rearrange the time because you have to do this stuff. I never saw this tip before, so this is a new tip, but I think it's really important. That is, investigate your professor. So what I mean by that, what I mean is that just look through his profile, like before you go to the class, like what kind of studies he has done before, like what kind of research he is doing, what are his interests or your professor's interest, research or anything like that. So you can just predict what he's really like, and you know most of the question for your exam probably from that section, so that area. So you just have to focus more on that, and he will definitely like that too. So because one, you will get a good grades, and the second, you will actually know better in that specific area, because that professor is really specifically good at that science or that area. This one also I learned a little late, but I think that's a really good thing to practice, because I actually love this tip, that is using Google Calendar. This is not a really new thing, but using Google Calendar in the grad school is really important, because you can organize all the meetings. If you have to like do like specific time periods, like for example do like research thing at a specific time, and you can just allocate the time, and you can share with that professor if you want, like if you want to share with your friends or research lab partners, so they all know what you have to do, and you can actually see what they have to do. For example, if you have meetings, so you all guys know what you have to come in, what's upcoming, and you can start ready for that. If you have for example, if you have to do like experiment, and you all can get the notification earlier, so you can be sure that they all will be there, and they can actually, you can actually give the invitation for a study night or something, and you can see whether who's going to actually come or not. Like you can invite them. Like there are so many things you can do with the Google Calendar. I love that option because I have like that's really easy way to communicate, and you know what your surroundings know. You can actually do that with your family. You can have a separate calendar for that, and you have for another separate calendar for your research group, or another calendar for your friends in your course or your program. Like you can actually organize things like that way. I really love it. This one is also really changed my life, that is use one notebook. I'm kind of distracted sometimes, so if I used to have 2 or 3 like notebooks and different books for like write something that I think important, and I have another one for the meetings. Like I have like separate one, and then what happened is like eventually I didn't use any, because it's kind of complicated. Sometimes you will forget the one you really need to use, like that kind of stuff. So what I found out is using one notebook that you can actually write everything. Write the name and with the title and with the date, and then you know what you are what you actually wrote in later, like just a scrapbook, like every possible thing you can think about. Like if you go to a meeting, just write things that what are the things you important. If you go to a lecturer, just write what you think is important. And if you go to a conference, again write the things. But what happened is later you can actually go to home and then actually write the stuff for your actual study book or anything, that anywhere that you want. But at the time, if somebody asks a question and if you want to find something, now you know everything is in one scrappy book, and you can, it's really important, like you know everything you want is in this book. Sometimes you think if you cannot absorb all the information or your professor's telling, sometimes he or she is going through a really complicated calculation part, and probably you can miss one or two sentences he or she is talking about. So if that's the case, it's better to record everything and go back, and you can listen to the recordings and you can actually grasp everything you want. I think that's a better idea to and best thing to do. I usually do that if it is really hard or complicated, for example complicated pathways or calculations or things like that. If I feel like it's not really understandable, if I'm not sure what he is or she is talking about, I usually record them all. Sometimes I even don't use it, but sometimes I use it. It's comes handy when you want it. So I think recording everything is also really important. So if you when you go to a meeting, even if you want to meet your professor, sometimes ask for recording. So sometimes it comes handy, because I don't know about you, I cannot remember all the stuff, so I can remember only for 20-30 minutes. After that sometimes I'm distracted. So if you have recording and a scrappy book, so you can actually compare all this stuff and get a good idea what you actually write down and what actually he or your professor talk about. So I think that's really good tip. And if you're in a college, sometimes you feel like this everything you are learning is really not relevant to anything you have learned earlier. So it's better to actually create something, you know, that I actually saw some video even like that for medical students, some diseases for example, or some symptoms. That's kind of hard to remember, but if you can actually relate something, you know, that easier to remember. So I think that's also a good tip. But if you don't know how to do it, I guess it's better to watch through a video or something that who already did that stuff. You can use that as your tip or as your method to study that whole section. So as I told you about the next tip, watching video, I don't know, even they said it's not really good thing to watch the YouTube video or anything about the study when you're studying in the grad school. Sometimes I feel like it's easier to understand some higher complex things. For example, if you want to learn about some system or some pathways, even if for example our CRISPR system, if you don't understand what they're talking about, is really easy to understand with the animation. So there are a bunch of video like that for the CRISPR system, so you can go through them and it's easy to understand. So like that, sometimes that comes handy. So watching video and for even for the complicated equations, and if you don't know how they integrated that or how they get that equations, go through that kind of easy videos. Like they will go through one by one and they will illustrate what happened, and you will feel like it's easier to understand. So I feel like that's a good tip too. This one I actually found earlier. One of my friend, actually she's studying for the medical college, so she actually taught me this one. That is, there are some videos that actually teach you stuff through the art. They're actually drawing a picture, and while they're drawing a picture, they're trying to explain you and remember you like a story. They're trying to help you to remember like hard, really complicated, for example disease symptoms, diagnosis, like chemical reaction or immunology, or like really hard things, but in a simple picture you will really easy to remember, because you just have to remember that picture and everything else is easier to remember. So I think that's also a good tip you all know. Really important, if you're in graduate school, don't be ashamed. So you have to and you should ask questions, because no one in graduate school knows everything, so nobody knows, and it's better to ask someone who already did or who already passed in this course or this program, or even the other friends if they're probably from different grad program, but still you have some similarities, so they're all taking this course together. And if you are bad at maths, or there are one student who's good at maths, so you can just ask him about that specific math question that you have to figure it out. Even you're in a biology degree or any other degree, sometimes there are maths problems you have to solve, right? Even you are in the maths field, there are some problems you have to solve related to chemistry. Like even you're in the engineering, you have some stuff that related to chemistry or biology. Like there are like interdisciplinary things that you actually have to talk with the others, and it's easier to understand. So I think it's not a shame that if you don't know something, it's not a shame. Last but not least, that is, do not procrastinating and start working. That we all know that you can think, okay, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and but eventually what happened is not doing anything at the end, and like it's feel like overwhelming, you cannot do anything. So stop procrastinating and work. Like you fail like 100 times, 150 times, or like 200 times, it doesn't matter, just work. So one day you will succeed. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not a really bright student, I'm not a smart student, but I like to work, and I like to work hard and see what can I actually get.